It's an earthquake.
Yeah. John, Señor Young, what's going on? Señor Young. That was an earthquake.
That 5.8 magnitude earthquake outside Washington, D.C. today, which grabbed the attention of millions on the East Coast. One indication, Twitter counted more than 5,500 tweets per second. So many people were on their cell phones that some service went out. The White House was evacuated and all the national monuments were closed for safety inspections. Late tonight, the National Park Service reported a crack was discovered in the top of the Washington Monument.
Here in the Northeast, they're not that frequent, 100 times less frequent. We have less data points. So in some sense, we are working in the dark. People here in the Northeast simply treat it as a joke. But we have to realize that things do happen.
The epicenter, Mineral, Virginia, about 90 miles from the capital, where the earthquake was caught by a supermarket security camera. And nearby, another store where the ceiling collapsed.
And then all of a sudden it sounded like a freight train was coming through and the ceiling started falling.
At the North Anna nuclear facility, just miles from the epicenter, 2 nuclear reactors automatically shut down, forced to use emergency reserve generators for power. The facility built to withstand a quake 4 times as strong, but experts say this was still a wake-up call in a region not used to this. We were pulling into the train station in Washington, D.C. when the station suddenly began to wildly shake. Officers yelling to us and to everyone to get out. As passengers ran to safety, there were immediate fears here that this was something worse.
The ground started shaking, people started screaming, running around.
All of a sudden, everything just shook. A couple of things fell off the table, and then everybody scrambled to the exits.
What we then realized was that millions of Americans had felt the same thing. It was 1:51 this afternoon.
We had to clear from the front of the building.
When that giant rumble sent fear through offices, train stations, entire cities. Our camera at the White House swaying. Helicopters hovering over Washington. The National Cathedral damaged, part of one of the pinnacles falling to the ground. This woman tweeted, "I'm holding a piece of the National Cathedral in my hand." In Northern Virginia, cars smashed with falling bricks. In Baltimore, part of the warehouse collapsed. And in New York, where this country will soon mark 10 years since 9/11, it was the first thing so many people felt in their gut.
It's scary when you're all the way up there, you know, on the 14th floor. It's not easy. You have all these thoughts running through your mind. It's scary.
And in Washington, where the Capitol, the Pentagon, and the train station were all evacuated, it was that same fear that this was something else.
You think about the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, and I don't think you can help but think about maybe some sort of terrorist activities.
Miriam Shadive was one of those workers whose mind was racing for a time. She was in her office building when the quake hit. We met her on the packed subway as she raced out of the Capitol.
First, did you fear what?
Fear that the building is going to collapse because I was on the 11th floor.
Just happy to be going home.
Yeah, I'm happy to go and see my son.
The 5.8 quake was felt all along the East Coast, from Massachusetts all the way down to North Carolina and as far west as Chicago. At the moment the earthquake hit, New York City's DA was holding a press conference. You could read it on his face. Workers with the DA's office raced off the platform, the press moving swiftly from the room. This was one of the strongest earthquakes ever to hit the East Coast. One of this magnitude, extraordinarily rare here. Even meteorologists were caught by surprise.
Why is everything shaking? Look at the light.